Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the English Daily Book Summary YouTube channel. In order to not stop learning, listen to an English book summary every day for free.
Byron Wien, Taylor Becker. Stay at Risk and Live Forever. Lessons from a Life of Curiosity, Grit, and Reinvention. Have you ever noticed how the most successful people sometimes seem to deliberately make their lives harder, not easier? It might seem counterintuitive, but there's a bit of hidden wisdom here. In this blink, you'll discover why the most innovative ideas often come from perpetually staying at the edge of your expertise. You'll learn how to harness the math of relationships and master the psychology of decision-making. And last but not least, you'll see why the most dangerous moment in your career might come right after your biggest success. Let's begin. The safety trap. Most people spend their careers playing it safe. They master the rules, follow the playbook, and wonder why the results are underwhelming. For author Byron Wien, this realization arrived at the age of 50. Although Wien had maintained prestigious positions and a comfortable lifestyle, he hadn't built significant wealth or achieved the kind of remarkable success he saw among some of his peers. Why? Because while he'd been competent, he hadn't demonstrated the courage to pursue transformative ideas. This realization sparked a fundamental shift in his approach to both his career and investing. When Wien had his epiphany, he was just starting at Morgan Stanley as their first ever US investment strategist. The position was entirely new, a blank slate that offered endless possibilities. It was here that he created 10 surprises, an annual list of public predictions that most investors would consider unlikely, but Wien saw as probable. What made this approach revolutionary wasn't just its boldness, it was its deliberate embrace of intellectual risk. Rather than simply analyzing past events, Wien chose to make specific, testable predictions about the future. The initiative faced initial skepticism from Morgan Stanley, who worried about potential embarrassment if the predictions proved wrong. Yet Wien persisted, and the list became one of Wall Street's most anticipated annual publications. His track record speaks for itself. 10 surprises had roughly 60% accuracy over decades, including remarkable predictions like Barack Obama's 2008 presidential victory, at a time when he trailed Hillary Clinton by 14 points. Wien backed his convictions with capital, personally investing $1 million annually in 8 investable surprises, a strategy that frequently outperformed the market. This same pioneering spirit informed his investment philosophy. While most analysts focused on quarterly earnings and short-term metrics, Wien looked for companies with transformative potential. That is, businesses that weren't just successful, but poised to reinvent themselves continuously. This approach led to early investments in companies like Intel, Biogen, and FedEx, and later in tech giants that would reshape the global economy. The key wasn't just identifying promising companies, but understanding the rhythm of growth, knowing when to enter and exit as companies matured and new opportunities emerged. Years later at a financial conference, Wien was asked to share some of his personal wisdom with the audience. What began as 12 informal insights evolved into his life's lessons. 20 lessons covering everything from networking strategies to reading advice. Let's look at 3 of these lessons next. 3 life lessons. What sets a good idea apart from a game-changing one? For Wien, a truly big idea is a transformative concept that can reshape how people think or behave. Wien stresses that finding such ideas requires keeping yourself intellectually uncomfortable, constantly pushing beyond what's familiar or safe. This stance isn't just about professional innovation, it's about maintaining the kind of intellectual vitality that leads to a long, stimulating life. The key is to stay at risk in your thinking, never settling into comfortable patterns or conventional wisdom. That's Wien's first lesson. The second is about networking. In Wien's view, networking operates on a principle many miss. Luck expands in proportion to your connections. Rather than treating networking as a passive activity, he advocates an intense, proactive approach. This means regularly sending relevant articles or books to contacts, writing opinion pieces for major publications, and organizing discussion groups that bring thoughtful people together. Each connection represents a potential door to opportunity. Maintaining these relationships both requires and merits constant, deliberate nurturing. Third, when it comes to reading, Wien encourages an engaged approach versus passive consumption. Before you even open a book or article, form your own perspective on the topic. This preliminary viewpoint serves as a framework against which you can test the author's arguments. This leads to faster reading and deeper comprehension. Reading becomes a dialogue rather than a monologue. You're not just absorbing information, you're actively engaging with and challenging ideas as they're presented. Whether you're focusing on investment strategy, career development, or personal growth, it's important to maintain your intellectual vitality by continually innovating and taking risks. The goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty, it's to harness it as a force for growth and discovery. Strategic disruption. What if the most dangerous development in your career is success? There's a peculiar paradox in professional life. The better you become at something, the more likely you are to stop growing. The conventional wisdom about career development, master your craft, become indispensable, find stability, contains a trap. The very expertise that propels career success early on often becomes the anchor that prevents growth further down the line. This paradox becomes apparent if you look at how successful careers actually unfold. The traditional career arc encourages mastery and stability, right? But sustained success requires something different. The courage to remain perpetually at risk. This involves understanding that comfort, not failure, poses the greatest threat to long-term achievement. How exactly does this manifest in daily life? Well, rather than waiting for external forces to demand change, the most successful professionals actively create disruption in their careers. For example, they proactively put themselves into new roles as a preemptive measure against stagnation. It's part of an approach that Wien calls strategic discomfort. Another such practice is holding regular 360-degree reviews, where feedback is gathered from your circle of professional contacts, your superiors, peers, subordinates, and sometimes even external stakeholders. In Wien's case at Blackstone, this meant collecting insights from up to 15 colleagues per year and combining them with his own self-assessment. This forced him to confront blind spots and challenged him to view his performance through multiple lenses. It wasn't just about the feedback garnered, it was a systematic way to prevent the comfort of seniority from dulling his performance edge. Today's generation faces fundamentally different risks than their predecessors. From geopolitical instability to technological disruption, this shift creates a psychological burden, the challenge of maintaining optimism and a risk-taking appetite in an environment where risks seem increasingly tilted toward the downside. So success comes from learning to recognize and seize moments when the risk of change is outweighed by the potential for growth. This requires a mindset that treats discomfort as a tool rather than an obstacle. Again, the goal isn't discomfort for its own sake. It's the expanded capabilities and insights that come from consistently operating at the edge of your comfort zone. This approach to career development embraces having intellectual vitality throughout life. In a world where change is constant and unprecedented challenges are all but guaranteed, the ability to remain adaptable and engaged is a crucial career skill and a fundamental life strategy. Developing investment wisdom. Every market decision contains a hidden countdown. Wait too long for certainty, and the opportunity vanishes. Move too quickly, and disaster follows. Success in investing demands an almost impossible combination of traits: the patience of a historian and the decisiveness of a general. This fundamental tension shapes every aspect of investment, from your initial analysis to the long-term management of your positions. The most successful investors have mastered this balance, developing both analytical thoroughness and the courage to act on incomplete information. The key here is learning to judge when you know enough. The psychology of position management presents its own challenges. Thesis creep, the subtle shifting of investment rationale to match changing circumstances, represents one of the most dangerous forms of self-deception in investing. The Netflix bull who bought for 20% annual subscriber growth but now holds for valuable user data and potential acquisition, has succumbed to thesis creep. Strong positions begin with clear theses and end when those theses no longer hold true. The discipline to cut your losses when investment premises prove wrong often matters as much as the insight to identify winning positions. Binding all these elements together is risk management. The portfolio you construct needs to match not just your financial goals, but your psychological tolerance. After all, even the best strategy in the world means nothing if anxiety forces you to exit your position prematurely. Being able to cut losses when necessary, while letting winners compound, takes both clear thinking and emotional stability. But the market rewards this balance over time. As you've seen, successful investing requires both analytical and psychological strength. You're never going to make totally perfect decisions, and that isn't even the goal. Instead, focus on building a sustainable process that matches your temperament while maximizing your chances of long-term success. Engineering serendipity. Ask successful people about luck, and they'll tell you it finds them through other people. This isn't coincidence, it's mathematics. Every meaningful connection you have creates new surface area for opportunity. And guess what? These opportunities compound over time. Success lies in expanding these possibilities while keeping your relationships genuine. Most people have a backward approach to networking. They collect business cards, attend crowded events, and send dutiful follow-ups. But the best relationship building involves something different, creating spaces where genuine exchange can happen. This might take the shape of small dinner parties that encourage everyone to participate, regular discussion groups that tackle meaningful topics, or informal gatherings that spark unexpected connections. The most effective gatherings often break conventional rules. Instead of shying away from controversy, thoughtfully crafted provocative statements can inspire deeper engagement. Rather than letting conversations drift toward comfortable small talk, structuring discussions can push people beyond their usual patterns. The goal here? Authentic exchange, creating moments where perspectives can collide and combine. Another tip: if you want to understand someone deeply, ask about what shaped them before they turned 17. These formative experiences, whether triumph or trauma, often contain the key to understanding someone's fundamental approach to risk, relationships, and opportunity. And these kinds of conversations create deeper bonds than discussing future plans do. Modern technology has paradoxically made deep connections both more rare and more valuable. Digital communication offers the illusion of connection, while it really just breeds distance. Yet the fundamental principles remain unchanged. Focus on your genuine areas of interest, nurture your relationships consistently, and have the courage to put yourself out there, even if it means occasionally risking disappointment. The payoffs of this approach compound over time. Again, it comes down to math. If you have 20 people in a room, and they've known one another for an average of 25 years, that means you have 5 centuries of accumulated connection and trust. This relationship compound interest creates possibilities that simply can't be achieved through other means. Nurturing these connections requires sustained, deliberate action. So take a moment each day to think about who in your network might benefit from something you've recently learned. Send thoughtful articles with a personal note explaining why you thought of them. These small actions, repeated consistently, create a pattern of meaningful engagement that others notice and appreciate. Here are a few final tips. Instead of eating lunch alone, use that time to maintain relationships through one-on-one conversations. Don't just attend events, organize small gatherings that bring together people who should know each other. And last but not least, when someone extends themselves on your behalf, makes an introduction, shares an opportunity, offers you insight, consider acknowledging it with a handwritten note. In a world of digital convenience, personal touches like these aren't soon forgotten. Great networking creates a web of relationships that enrich your life and expand your opportunities. Done properly, it becomes an art form, the systematic cultivation of serendipity. The main takeaway of this Blink to Stay at Risk and Live Forever by Byron Wien and Taylor Becker is that sustained success requires embracing intellectual risk and strategic discomfort. Ween's journey from playing it safe to making bold market predictions and investment choices demonstrates how calculated risk-taking is necessary to make remarkable achievements. Cultivating meaningful connections and maintaining intellectual vitality will also help solidify your long-term success. And remember, discomfort is a tool for growth, not an obstacle. Okay, that's it for this Blink. We hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please take the time to leave us a rating. We always appreciate your feedback. See you soon.